Welcome Mark to the show. He's one of our customer success managers at Passion.io who drives success for our Passion.io's Plus customer. And today we talk about Google Apps Script. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matthias. Thanks for having me again. And it's a pleasure to be here talking about how we can help our users.
Yes, so let's start off with what is Google Apps Script?
Google Apps Scripts is a very useful tool. It's a JavaScript based cloud scripting language that's developed by Google for applications that go across the Google suite. So, like Gmail and Google Documents, Google Drive, that kind of stuff.
So in normal language, it helps to make things in my app more dynamic, or what does it mean, like JavaScript framework?
It helps you create and automate tasks across Google's suite. So, for instance, you can do something super simple, which would just be to send an email. So, let's say you want to automate an email every time someone does something in your app, and you don't want to use your CRM. You can write a small script so it sends a Gmail to a particular email address every time that something happens. That would be the most basic example.
What else can it do? Like, what are typical use cases?
Well, it can automate all sorts of different tasks. Um, the use cases that are most popular among Plus members, for instance, are leaderboards. So using the Zapier automations that we set up before in one of our last calls, which would be like a client tracking Zap, we can get data on how often people complete lessons, or we can also get data on the habit tracker. So how many kilometers did you run today, for instance? And then that data, with the help of Zapier, is sent to a Google Sheet, and Plus members like to then turn that into a leaderboard. So you can see how many kilometers your users have run over the last week, for instance, and you can put their names on a leaderboard and then host that in your app.
That sounds amazing. I would love to see that. Before you maybe could show me something, what do you need to set it up? Like, what's required to make it work?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, you, on a basic level, you just need Google Drive and a Zapier account to grab the data from your app, and of course, an account on Passion, so you have an app.
That sounds simple. Let's go into an example maybe to get more clarity here.
So if you're looking at my screen now, you should be seeing the Passion admin builder. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So from here, you can see on the right, this is Rebel Ninja, an app that's done by one of our sales team members. And in his app, you can see a leaderboard. So this is what an example could look like if I go to his leaderboard and show it off once it loads in. There we go. You see that he has all of his different users, whatever he's tracking, and you can highlight any one of these and see the total number. And they get these little emoji badges as well. So this is all done
Nice.
with Google Apps scripts and some CSM magic.
And these are the most active people in the community, or that have completed lessons, or what exactly
Uh,
do you have at the top?
well, it depends on what you want to track. Some people will do lessons completed, and that will be the most active people doing the work. Some others will track the app. I'm sorry, the habit tracker, and this will just be so you can have multiple ones. For instance,
Got it.
there will be some customization involved if that's the case, but most people do the habit tracker. In Andrew's case, he's using lessons completed, so 73 or 82 for Dylan, for instance, and Emmeline. But others will use the habit tracker that's built into Passion.
That looks amazing. Let's see how this was built.
Yes, let's do that. So using the client tracking Zaps and the client tracking sheet, and we go to extensions and app scripts. This puts us into the app script editor. And from here, we have a long script that collects our data for us. Now, I've commented most things so you can see what is supposed to happen here. I'll just walk you through it quickly and you stop me if you have any questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the first
Let's
step
go.
is to check if the sheet that we want to generate already exists for the current month and year. Um, every time you generate a new sheet, it's added down here at the bottom. So you'll see that June has one. We'll go back a month just so we have plenty of data to work with. And May has one as well. So this way, every time that the sheet runs, it's not creating a brand new sheet for the month. So it's checking to see if it's already been created. And if it has, it doesn't create one. And if it hasn't, it does create one. That's there. If the sheet does not exist, create a new one. Then it gets the data range in the tracking sheet for the current month. So this little script here will take a look at the tracking sheet here, and it will only look for the current month. So this month is June. It will only look for those dates here in column E, and then it will pull that data from column F, and it will add it here in the June section. Right. Once that's done, it gets the unique users names and also the tracker title. So this one uses the habit tracker that I mentioned before, and so it will grab from the tracking sheet the name, which is the leaderboard challenge, and it will grab their first and last name for the aggregate data there. The next thing it does is it removes any duplicates from the tracker titles. So this way you don't have multiple entries for the same tracker title. It's just the May leaderboard. So it's only one leaderboard instead of multiple. Creates headers, not too important. This is just a formatting. Those headers here, leaderboard challenge. Then it populates the data in the aggregated sheet. So once it grabs all that information, then it adds it to our sheet. So that's this stuff here. Takes a sum of that, so that way you can get a total that this chart can work with. So the total here for Catherine is 5 usually, and 2 is her last point entry. And if we go down here, we have a few more things. This will add a new column. I think this is tertiary, not too important to talk about. Let me see. Create a chart. Here's the part where it gets a little bit more interesting. So now after we've grabbed all the data and we've put it into the sheet, we need to do something with it. We need to visualize it. So this script here will create a chart for us. And if the chart already exists, it updates the existing chart. So we use a nice variable called the chart builder, and we build it out with these parameters. So you have a title, you have positions and colors that you can change. You can set all of these to be whatever your brand colors are. You can also do it in post. So you can come in here and then edit the chart. And then from there, you can change all the colors and how the format looks. So it's a little bit more customizable in the end. And then once that's done, it will insert that chart into the aggregated data sheet here, because this chart can technically exist on any sheet, and we only want one of them. We don't want duplicates, and we only want it here on the sheet for the month.
This leaderboard that you shared from Andrew, it was all like in this green, blue colors, right? Is that where you format the colors here as well, like in the Google Sheet? You select the exact colors so that then when it's imported, it looks exactly like the app looks?
Yeah, you can do that. So you can do that in a couple different ways. One, you can just grab, I'll show you again. So if we do it manually, I go to edit chart. I think it's in the customize section. And then here we have our different chart styles, colors. And if I choose the color, I can go down to custom and I can add a color by hex code. And we use hex codes in the Passion platform. So it can be straightforward. You have your brand colors, hex code is generated, you copy it and you paste it here so you can use it that way. You can also take this hex code and you can put it in the sheet itself. Right now, we just have a basic color set. This is by default blue, but you can take that and you can paste your brand color there. So the bar chart will be branded with whatever color you have on your app. In Andrew's case, it's kind of this neon blue.
Then second question, the data in this Google Sheet, where does it come from?
So this example is one creator's leaderboard and another creator's app. It may not be too clear where the data comes from. But in Antonella's particular case, if we went to her app, and I'll just use Andrew's as an example, it comes from a habit tracker. Now, Andrew doesn't have the habit tracker turned on as far as I know. He doesn't. But with the habit tracker and Zapier, an automated Zap, then we can generate client tracking data, whether that is from the habit tracker or from the lesson completion data, which we talked about a few minutes ago, which is here.
Okay, so actually the input sheet was the one that you just shared where you have a Zap that is triggered based on lesson complete at the row in this Google Sheet. And then you have all these entries of the completed lessons on a user level and with a timestamp. And then the script essentially aggregates and sums up these entries and builds this chart automatically in the colors that the creator wants. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So we generate the separate data. In Antonella's case, it would be a username, so first name, last name, email, and then in Andrew's case, the lesson title and the date. And then with the script, you aggregate all that data. So you would take the unique names, let's say Matthias, and Matthias completes a lesson every day for 2 weeks. And you would add all those lessons completed under the one name of Matthias, and then that would be added to the chart, and the chart would be generated all by the script itself. So this data that you would normally be doing hands-on work with, which would take you all day to do every day, can just be done with, the last part I didn't mention, a trigger. So I'll go back to sharing my screen, and then this will be the more important part of the script because it won't work without a trigger. You need to know when to run this script. If I press run, that's a manual thing. I can do that every day if I want to, but it's tedious. So instead, on the left over here, you have triggers. And you can set up a trigger. In this case, the event is whenever the spreadsheet has a change done to it, it will run that long script. So that way, anytime this app is updated, it will run the script and it will update the chart. And the thing about the chart is you can embed this in your app. If you go here to this little 3 dots and you go to publish chart, it will ask you how you want to publish it. One thing you'll have to keep in mind, interactive is preferred. You could also do image if you don't want people to be able to highlight the names like we were able to do on Andrew's. So Andrew has his shared as an interactive embed. Once that pops up, so you can see the names of individuals, but you can share it as an image, so all of that looks or feels static. And if we go back, the other thing that you'll want to do is when you publish is you'll have to make sure that it's the entire document when you publish it. Otherwise, it could break and people might need to log in to view it, and that's just a whole thing. So always select entire document. Then take this link, go to your app, and embed it using, this is a bit of a hack, using a Calendly widget. So I would add a Calendly widget and I would paste that link in there, and that's how you get this.
No, I'm just like thinking, it essentially means that, I mean, this was a leaderboard, I get it, but what it also is advanced analytics. What do I mean by advanced analytics? It means that I, as a creator, I can essentially say I want to track whatever in my app is happening on a course level, on a lesson level, on a community level, on a tracking level. I don't care. Everything goes to Google Sheet, and then I can run advanced analytics with it that gives me charts that then show me activity on a user level. And then I can, on the back of that again, potentially trigger automations, offers, access, I don't know what, right? So I can do pretty advanced things as a creator. And then what you're doing here is you take parts of these charts and you show them again inside the app on a user level so that users can see how they rank compared to others, which is another level or another use case. It's quite interesting. It's quite powerful, actually.
It's a really powerful tool. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to use it. As long as we can grab that data from their, like the user's app somehow or the creator's app somehow, then we can use it in Google App Scripts. So Zapier is kind of the backbone of this whole operation. But to give you an example of how someone else is using it, as we have another creator, Tammy, and Tammy, she tracks when users have completed a certain set of lessons. And so once they've completed all of, I think it's the 5 modules in her broader course, um, they are they she has an app script that then takes their name and throws it into a pre-designed certificate. So it generates a custom certificate for the user that's completed this course. And then it will email that user their new certificate saying, congratulations, you've completed this course on this date, and here's your certificate. And then on building on top of that, she could then send them a follow-up email saying, here's the next step, here's the next course you should enter, etc.
Wow, that's cool. Custom made certificate. Um, and one more question. So this is like for Plus members, team members like you would build that out for a Plus member so that their app can ultimately be powered by leaderboards, by advanced analytics, by certificates, by whatever. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a service that we don't necessarily offer explicitly. We try to find solutions when people have. I say this because a lot of people have a lot of different requests, and we can't always offer them a solution because there may not be one for us. But what we can do is we can try to find the best workaround possible. And we've had enough creators on the Plus team or under the Plus team request leaderboards and other things, which have led us to this direction. And now we're finding all kinds of different use cases for it. So if there is a request by a Plus user, maybe we can make a solution something like this. Now that we have a leaderboard, we can do it for pretty much anyone. And same with the certificate generation, we can pretty much do that for everybody.
Super insightful. So I would say maybe in another video we look into the certificate generation. But so far so good. Thank you, Mark. Is there anything else that you want to share that we should know?
I would say that if you're a solo creator and a small business, keep in mind that using Google Apps Scripts does have some limits because it kind of works as an API. So how many times you can use it per day is limited depending on what kind of account you have. So if you have Google Workspace, which is like the Gmail that you pay for, then you have unlimited calls. You can use it as much as you want. But if you are on the free version of Gmail and Google Drive, there's a limit, I think, of like 100 or 150 uses per day.
Very nice. Thank you, Mark.